Hello guys, it's Zion here. I decided I'm going to confuse my camera by filming by a mirror so that if I stare at you in the mirror, maybe that will work. It just might add an extra dimension to the whole thing. Of course, it probably means that the camera is going to keep going out of focus, so if it does, my bad. This is the secret to rapid weight loss. It's very easy. It's all about carb manipulation. People seem to be really confused about carbs, but they're not very confusing at all. You just have to not be an idiot. Basically, you've got three options. One, you can virtually cut carbs out and the weight will just fall from you. It will just be, you'll walk down the street, boom, it will come off. You'll be leaving a trail of fat and blubber behind you. Two, you can change the kind of carbs that you eat. This will give you a more gradual weight loss, but long term it's a lot more sustainable and you'll be much more likely to stick to that diet once it's finished. Your third option is you can basically do nothing and just sit around on your big fat ass going, wow, I'm so fat, I don't know why. Well, it's because you're eating all the fucking carbs in the world. This little video is basically going to tell you how to just not be so scared about fucking carbs. They're not scary, it's really easy. Okay, here we go. Now, I've been on a really low carb diet for probably the best part of a decade now. When I first lost weight, I didn't know anything about carbs, I just ate a lot less than I did before. I also started exercising where I hadn't before, plus I was 18, 19 years old, so, you know, I had youth on my side and the weight fell off. As I've gotten older, it's harder to keep the weight off, and over the years I've had to lessen my carb intake after initially changing from the sort of white carbs, quote unquote, that's not a racist thing, it's not all KKK here, you know. So from the white carbs to the whole grain carbs, and now eventually to virtually no carbs. I'm sure at some point in the not too distant future, I'll basically just live on dust and termites and things like that. But for now, I have a small amount of carbs. I have, in the morning, I have flapjacks, which I have done a recipe for somewhere on the internet, which you can find quite easily. I'll post a link to it around. I'll put it on the mirror. I'll put the link on the mirror. So for me, the flapjacks, that is my carb intake for the day, pretty much. But they're slow release carbs, so they pretty much last me all day long. I have a top up of veg later on in the evening, and then by the time I go to bed, I'm just about ready to kill everyone. Okay, what is a bad carb? What is a good carb? Bad carbs would be white bread, white rice, white pasta, regular potatoes, cake. You can't just go around eating fucking cake and then go, oh, I don't understand why I'm so fucking fat. I just sit on my ass all day eating cake. The world's not fair. Get over it. Simple sugars, biscuits, sweets, you know, all those sorts of things. The things where to me it's an absolute no-brainer, but there seems to be a bit of confusion about it out there. Good carbohydrates would be the brown versions of those things, or whole grain versions of those things if we want to be less 1970s about it. We'd be talking whole grain bread, whole grain rice, whole grain pasta. Now when it comes to things like potatoes, go for sweet potatoes rather than normal potatoes. They're not as starchy. Alternatively, scrap potatoes, chuck them out the fucking window. You don't need potatoes, because these days in supermarkets you can get cauliflower that they've turned into some kind of mashed potato. No, it's not a potato, it's not a cauliflower in a potato dress or anything like that. It's just cauliflower, but it's been prepared in such a way whereby it tastes a little bit potatoey. And they've done the same thing with pasta as well. I can't remember what they call it because every supermarket gives it dumb names. They've taken various vegetables and turned them into what looks like pasta or couscous. It does the trick. It has the same mouthfeel, which is an awful lot of what it's about. If you've got something like spaghetti bolognese, you think, I can't live without the pasta. It's the mouthfeel. That's what you'd actually be missing if you remove the pasta from it. So if you replace the pasta with something that replicates the mouthfeel, you can shut the fuck up. Carbohydrates from fruit and veg are absolutely brilliant. Not loads of fruit, because fruit is full of sugar and eventually that sugar's got to go somewhere unless you're running around in circles all day long. Vegetables, for fuck's sake, just sit there and eat vegetables all day long. The weight will fall off. This is a very basic breakdown of good carbs, bad carbs, because I don't want to confuse you too much, because there seems to be a lot of confusion out there. Eventually, yes, I'll go into more detail and tell you a little bit more about the science behind it all, and that I'm not just like making shit up. What you need to know is the carbs that you eat are basically converted by your liver, which is, I don't know, around there somewhere. In your tummy, it's just around behind your tummy. So it's converted by your liver into energy. If you don't use that energy, then your body's gonna be absolutely super awesome and it's gonna store it on itself as fat. That's how clever our bodies are. Once upon a time, we used to be cavemen and we didn't have central heating, so we had to get fat so we didn't die. Obviously, that's not the case, but you know, you try telling people that when they're just sat on the sofa stuffing all day long, I must get fucking fat because winter's coming. You've got central heating, you don't need to be that big. The starchier sort of carbs, the bad carbs that I mentioned earlier on, they're converted that much faster by your liver. So the energy is released that much faster. So if you don't use it immediately, then it's gonna be stored on your body faster. The whole grain carbohydrates that I mentioned, they're much lower in sugar, and the way that they are processed and digested by your body is much slower, it's much more even, so the release of energy is much slower and much more even. So you're less likely to find yourself 2 hours after you've eaten wanting to go around stabbing everyone because your blood sugar's crashed. What you might find is that you've got a much more long-term sustained energy release to keep you going that much longer. So you won't have the sugar crashes because it keeps your blood sugars a bit more stable. Plus you shouldn't feel as hungry, so you won't need to gorge quite as often. Also, being harder to digest means that you'll use slightly more calories to digest than you would do if they were white carbs. That doesn't mean that you could eat a whole loaf of whole grain bread and think, hey, I'm going to use up all the calories digesting it. It's not an extreme difference, but it's a difference and it all adds up. Listen to me, if you want rapid weight loss, and I'm talking, like I said earlier on, I'm talking you're walking down the street and it's just falling off behind you, then you need to go to a virtual zero carb diet. If you do this, I promise you that weight will literally fall off of your body. You will lose many pounds very quickly. Especially if you go from eating lots of white junky carbs to zero carbs, there's a chance that you might disappear overnight. But if you do have like a swimsuit that you've got to get into, or that dress, or I don't know what the equivalent is if you're a boy. What would my equivalent be? My equivalent would be, can I see my abs or not? You can always see my abs. It would be, can you see the veins on my abs? If I find I can't see the veins on my abs, that means that I've eaten too many bad for Xeon things. So therefore, I just like cut those motherfucking carbs and boom, 2 days later, veins on the abs. To recap, if you want rapid weight loss, then you need a zero carb diet, or as close to zero carb diet. That's basically what the Atkins diet was based on. And no, that doesn't mean that you go around eating sausages and eggs and bacon all day long. It means that you eat healthy proteins and you could eat healthy fats, and that's probably another video because people will be there going, no, what's a healthy fat? And this is about carbs, not fat. Cut down on the carbs, cut right down on the carbs, and yes, drinking is included in that. Beer, you might as well be drinking bread. For a more sustainable diet, one where once you get to the size that you want to be, you might actually stick to that diet and not go back to the cake and the white bread and the white rice. Everything that's white, make brown. Not with felt tips. In the supermarket, go for the brown option. I say brown because I'm being very simplistic, but essentially whole grains. And remember that third option, doing nothing? You've got this far in the video, so don't do that. In the future, I will go into more details about diet and things like that. It's just that despite the fact that it's the end of April and there's snow outside, people aren't going to want to be on the beach and somebody go, look mummy, another whale's washed up. I will keep adding videos to this little section. I've still not decided what I'm going to call it, but fitness in your 40s or some snazzy little youth title like that. Youth title in your 40s. I'll start introducing videos. I'll go, hey, it's your boy Xeon and all that sort of thing, just like the kids do. Fucking little wanker kids. You can ask me any questions, but if I've said anything that's confused you, ask me the question below. In the comments section, just write, Dear Xeon, I don't understand what you're talking about. Please explain X, Y, and Z. And I'll go, ugh. and then I'll explain X, Y, and Z. Do a thumbs up on the video. I don't know if it's left or right, but do one of those little thumbs up thing. If you're gonna do a thumbs down thing, then, you know, fuck off. And subscribe, that's very important. YouTube algorithms, all of that sort of bollocks. I want these videos to become more popular. I can only do that with your help. Not every video is about diet, fitness, and health, but there's lots in there to entertain you. We're getting on for about 35 videos, this might be now, something like that. And we've only been going a few months, so I'm quite chuffed with that. Encourage me, subscribe, dear people. That's your lot for today. That's your lot for today. Enjoy your weekend, day, week, month, year, whatever. And I will speak to you again soon. Get ready, we're gonna fist bump. Bang! See you next time. Bye-bye.